We have to assume our responsibility for our emissions. We have to acknowledge that we are, through no deliberate desire on our part to hurt anyone, but we have created a vehicle that is very, very damaging. You know, if your neighbor comes to you and says, you know, your sprinkler system is leaking into my basement, and it's rotting my foundations, and I've only just discovered it, but it's a really terrible problem, and it's really damaging my house. We don't say, oh, that's really terrible. I'm only going to use it every other day now. Because there are things where you simply have to acknowledge that through no fault of your own, through no bad intention, you have created a problem. But because we know now to continue the same behaviors without addressing them sends a message that we don't care about the impacts. And it imposes upon us an even greater moral responsibility, that we no longer have plausible deniability as our answer to these issues, even though many people have tried for some time to deny the science. It is clear now. And even the previous skeptics, there's one or two still around, but basically even President Bush has acknowledged that global warming is a serious issue that has to be dealt with. You might ask what somebody with my particular background has to do with the issue of climate change. Well, I'm, as a former politician, a recovering politician, and somebody who's interested in democracy, I'm very interested in the issues that may undermine or impact the ability of societies to live by democratic values and to create the kind of institutions that can secure them. As you heard, I'm a member of an organization called the Club of Madrid, which is an organization of former presidents and prime ministers. We are now 69 members, and you can find us at clubmadrid.org if you want to go online. We are devoted to democratic values, and 2 years ago our members decided that they wanted to engage in this very important issue. They were concerned about a lack of leadership. And we, with the United Nations Foundation, we created a high-level task force called Global Leadership for Action on Climate Change. There are 12 of our members, former presidents and prime ministers from around the world, and an equal number of very high-level experts. And what we have done is created a framework for a post-Kyoto, a negotiation for a post-Kyoto agreement. It is an extremely important issue for all of us, and my interest came to the attention of Rona Frazen here of the library when she noticed that I was giving a talk at the World Bank at their conference in March on the social dimensions of climate change. Now, it's very interesting because this was the first time that the World Bank addressed this issue. The World Bank is involved around the world in very important development issues. And we've been talking about the science of climate change and what's going to happen in terms of international negotiations. But as the president of the World Bank said, it's time now to think about the effect of climate change on people. And so my particular address at that conference focused on the security issues relating to climate change, and I'll talk about those. I'll focus largely on those today. But the first thing I can say, if you say, well, what's your credential for speaking about the social dimensions of climate change? There are no experts. There are a lot of very smart people who are thinking and doing research about what the social implications or the security implications of climate change will be. But climate change presents us with a series of possibilities, some certainties, some scenarios that in many ways are unprecedented, if not in their particular nature in terms of their duration. And there are many things we really don't know. And so if we want to make sensible policy, if we want to try and deal with this issue, we have to begin to look at how climate change is going to impact on people and what we as intelligent people, as citizens, as policymakers, can do to try and minimize the negative impacts that will be had.